If you're a grappler that wants to take their jiu-jitsu to the next level in the shortest possible time frame, then I am here to tell you that there are certain foods that you might be consuming that are destroying your performance without you even realizing. Like, it's such an easy thing to do, by the way, because you could be eating really healthy. However, those healthy foods might not be benefiting your performance on the mats. I'm going to get into it. Before I start, welcome to the channel. My name's Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. Over the last 12 years, I've trained thousands of elite soldiers and hundreds of grapplers in deleting their injuries and building physical body armor. On my channel, all I like to do is literally cut through the massive pile of shite that is the fitness industry and give you the most impactful solutions to common problems that keep popping up. Because that is literally all I've ever done for the past 12 years. So, the first thing I need to talk about, and the most important thing that you need to do before you even start thinking about food, is just pause for a sec and think about mindset. If you eat food every day based on your feelings, you are guessing your energy requirements. You could probably be able to tell me in the comments below how much you grapple per week, how much you grapple most weeks, how active your job is, how much walking you do per day, how much you weigh, what your body fat percentage is. You could probably tell me all of the metrics, but instead of telling me, bang that into a calorie calculator, and then you get given a number, which is the calories in which you should be eating every day. You'll be very surprised that you should be eating a hell of a lot more calories than you actually think you need. But the only way you can do this is run the numbers and see how much better you feel by doing this. When you feel the benefits of this, you will stick to it for longer, right? But one step further than that, make sure your macronutrient split is mostly carbohydrates. Make sure 50% of that number, let's say the number's 2,900, 50% of those calories are from carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are going to be the thing that benefits your performance on the mats the most. We are men. We fucking love carbohydrates. We love big bowls of oats. We love bread. We love rice cakes. We love honey. We love dates, raisins, all of this stuff, potatoes, pasta, rice. We love it. We need to have that around our training sessions, because if that's in and that is part of our day, performance is going to be absolutely flying, right? But this video is about what you need to be avoiding. Instead of just me telling you that, I need to tell you what you should be avoiding, because these are the things that have probably caught you out for the years, right? So, mindset. We've talked about numbers. Numbers make a difference. You can't guess this shit. You can't guess it. You can't guess consistent energy requirements every single day. You have to have a foundation of numbers. And what it actually looks like in reality, and I'll tell you this, you'll probably laugh. All it looks like in reality is you preparing your food on a set of scales. You know what I did earlier on? I put a bowl on a set of scales, press tear, and now it's 0 grams. I pour 100 grams of oats into the bowl, 50 grams of raisins, 2 bananas, 1 tablespoon of honey, pour like 400 mils of water, pour all that in the pan. There's my porridge, my pre-gym porridge. That's how hard it is. So when you've got all these, excuses to why you're not doing this, it takes you exactly the same amount of time to abide by an overarching calorie number as it would do not abiding by it. Do you know what I mean? That's what it actually looks like. So you've got the number, you divide that up into mostly carbohydrates, and then you basically go, which carbohydrates do I digest really well? Because some people digest oats really well, some people don't. Some people digest potatoes, some digest rice. You want most of them carbohydrates coming from the easiest digestible thing that you can digest. Which is your protein preference? Is it beef? Is it lean beef? Is it, 90-10? Is it chicken? Is it turkey? Have your preferences. If you want any guidance on this, I've got a high performance fueling system. The first link in the description will be for that, and it'll take you through all of these steps if I've missed any, right? Your protein preferences. You have to enjoy the food you're eating or you're not going to stick to it. Simple, isn't it? Right? The next thing is like, you've got micronutrients, you've got fruit and veg, right? What are your fruit and veg preferences? Mixed salad? Cool. Mixed vegetables? Cool. Mixed berries? Cool. That's it. And just have a little bit of them with each meal. It's so simple, right? Anyway, simply telling you what to eat's not enough because you need to time it correctly in order to not get caught out. You could eat the food I've just told you in the order in which you want. Wake up, have a bowl of oats, train on a night. It's like, you don't need oats in the morning if you're sat at a desk. It's not going to benefit your performance having that oats in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So the mindset piece of the morning is shifting from feelings based, wake up, breakfast, the most important meal of the day, into my jiu-jitsu performance is my priority. First, distribute the carbohydrates around the jiu-jitsu training session. Second, think, okay, what's my next priority? Is it work? Is it thinking at work and problem solving? Cool. Well, when I'm at work, I need to allocate protein and fats. Great for digestion, long digestion foods. You're not going to be hungry, and the fats are great for your brain. So you're going to make that switch to like beef and eggs, or eggs, chicken, nut butters, because you don't really need carbohydrates around things that you don't actually care that much about your physical performance with. So, if you're having fiber before jiu-jitsu, it's probably not going to be digested. And what I mean by fiber, you could even say oats is fiber. You could say potatoes is high in fiber, even though they're high in carbohydrates. They might still catch you out. Depends on your ability to digest food. I'm going to tell you something, an interesting story after this about digestion. So what do if you struggle digesting oats and potatoes before jiu-jitsu? You just go a more simple version, a less fibrous version of carbohydrates. So instead of oats, you could make oats more digestible by blending them. It's not going to reduce the fiber, but it's going to improve the digestibility of them. Instead of potatoes, you could go rice. So you could literally have a bowl of rice with bananas, with raisins, with some honey, and mix that up, and you will literally be sending it on the mats. However, you have to understand and appreciate your individual differences, because someone like me, oats works really well. My missus absolutely hates oats, and it makes her want to fall asleep. So rice cakes, these types of things might work really well for you as an individual. You're just going to have to find that you need to hit a certain amount of numbers. That might be 120 grams of carbohydrates, 150 grams of carbohydrates before your training session, and 150 grams afterwards. You're going to have to allocate them carbohydrates to the most well-digested carbohydrates for you as an individual. I can't give you like a meal plan like that. I can't. I'm just going to have to give you rules and principles to follow, and you figure it out yourself. But I will say this for certain. When you get this right, it takes literally a day or two. When you run the numbers, you live by the numbers, go out, shop, make sure you've got a set of scales, weigh your food, do your meal prep. When you do this, it takes 1 or 2 days for this to get fully into your system. Watch your performance on the mats. Honestly, you're going to have loads of energy. You're not going to crash after a couple of reps of techniques. You're not going to crash after your first couple of rounds of sparring. You're just going to have sustained performance. And you know, I don't know whether you've seen this, right? But you know when you're the guy that finishes a round in sparring, and you're the one who's looking at people thinking, are we doing it? And you're the person everybody's avoiding. It's annoying, but it's just what happens because you're fully fueled and you are the one that has cared to do something about it. What you do off the mat is what's going to benefit your performance on the mat, right? Anyway, I want to talk about digestibility because this is actually pretty interesting. It's kind of like a side tangent, but I'm going to mention it anyway. So in the marathon runner space, or within the ultra marathon running space, you know, the ultra endurance events, 50 mile plus endurance events, you probably think, why the hell am I talking about this? I'm a grappler. These competitions and these events in these circles are pretty much called eating competitions. eating competitions, but you're on the move. Because like when you're doing a 100-mile endurance event, adventure endurance event, it's about the man that can eat the most food. It's about the man that can digest the food. And it sounds crazy, but think about if you're burning a lot of calories, but your body lacks the ability to digest the calories in which you're eating, that's a huge problem. And that means the problem that you need to look at is improving your digestion. Obviously you want to try choosing foods which are easily digestible, but even if you go through that process and you're like, fucking hell, I'm even struggling to digest rice 2 hours before jiu-jitsu, you need to probably start looking at your digestion, your digestive system, and how you can improve your digestive system. So that is a whole different beast. I'm not even going to mention that in this video. I probably won't even mention that on the channel, to be honest with you. It's too much of a rabbit hole, and I like to keep things very simple. Hopefully there's enough points in there, enough principles for you. Avoid fiber before you do jiu-jitsu. Avoid protein before you do jiu-jitsu. Avoid fats before you do jiu-jitsu. Make sure it is easily digestible carbohydrates before jiu-jitsu, whether that's an hour, 2 hours, whatever you can get away with as a bloke. Everybody's different. And make sure after jiu-jitsu, it's not thinking about protein, it's thinking about carbs. Jiu-jitsu is the priority. Surround jiu-jitsu with most of your daily carbohydrates and watch what happens. You are going to be an absolute machine. The rest of your calories doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't really make a little bit of rice, a little bit of beef, a little bit of eggs. It doesn't really make a difference because let's be honest, we don't really give a shit about our physical performance at any other point of the day other than when we're doing jiu-jitsu. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that you appreciate the points. And again, all I'm here to do is give you the most impactful advice on my channel, right? Cut through all the shit because I have the courage to fucking call out bullshitters that make things too complicated, right? This will help you out massively. All you have to do is walk that path. If you are somebody that struggles walking this path and struggles prioritizing jiu-jitsu while juggling life, injuries, fat loss, muscle gain, then the second link in the description is to book onto a call with me for one-to-one coaching.